Hello and welcome to our Week 8 edition of Friday Night Spotlight. We have Rams head coach Chris McDonald with us again today, and we will be talking about last Friday's matchup a little bit before we get into the game this week against Seton Catholic. Rams had their first defeat of the season. This was a game that I think was a little bit of a mirror image in the opposite way of the Tempe game, where the games were both really close going into the fourth quarter. In the Tempe game, you guys made all the plays to kind of finish that game out strong and get the win. This time it was Arcadia that made the plays. So talk a little bit about how that game unfolded and why you guys were not able to finish this time.
Well, defensively, we had a 10-0 lead going in after the first quarter, and defensively I thought we played well, really all game. I mean, we were out of rhythm, we were out of sync from an offensive standpoint majority of the night, I don't know, what to attribute that to. I'd like to think that fall break had something to do with that, but we'll see tomorrow night if that's the case. We got to get a lot of things corrected, and I think we are correcting them. But I think what happened is we allowed an Arcadia team to stick around longer than what they should have, and gave them some confidence. And then we had a game-changing play with the punt return, the fair catch, and then they fumbled, and then another player picked it up and ran it in. I think that was just kind of a game-changing play. And it just felt like we were out of sync all night, really, and turned the ball over again in the fourth quarter, really close on the 20-yard line, and they were able to capitalize on that as well. And like I said, I just felt like we were out of sync and just didn't play our best, really.
I think one of the things you mentioned after that game was that you don't feel like you guys played together as much as you could have. Were there some things you saw in that regard, and was that something that you talked to the team about?
Absolutely, I think definitely, and I think our kids understand that too. It was a night of individuals, really. It was, and I think that had a lot to do with why we were out of sync, because we had some individuals playing for themselves and not for. We preach, play for the other 10, not for yourself. You play for the other 10, and if everybody plays for the other 10 on the field, then you got a team that's playing for each other, and we didn't do a good job at that at all last Friday.
I know coaches often have what they call teaching moments, and it's different when you're teaching a team about mistakes they made when they won and when they lost. So now that you have had your first loss of the season, how is the teaching moment different in this week of practice leading up to this game?
Well, I think this week of practice has been a practice or a week of refocus. You learn more from your failures and your losses than you do from your wins and your successes. So the idea is as the season goes on is to get better and better and better. And so hopefully even though we lost, we still have a 6-1 record. We're still capable of all the goals and expectations that the players set for themselves at the beginning of the year, and you just hope that from this loss that we have more growth from this than we did the previous 6 wins. That's kind of the message that I'm sending.
I know the defense, like we've talked about, has been really good lately, last probably 3 weeks at least, and the offense, it seems like each week we're talking about the execution is not quite there.
Right.
So what is it going to take to kind of get you guys back?
Well, I just think we go back and look at some things and as coaches and figure out, are we do we have the correct schemes to put our kids in the most successful opportunity, and I think that's the first step is A, we look at that, and then B, we look at, do we have the right personnel out there at times for certain things, and then we have to grade the kids as well, and that's what we've been doing, and we've just kind of hit a little bump in the road from an offensive standpoint. We're capable of having a good offense this year, obviously, with certain games, but we just need to be more consistent.
Now I know Seton Catholic's the opponent this week. They are 2-5, but this is a program that's been a good program for a long time, so I'm sure you guys aren't going to take them lightly. So talk a little bit about going into this matchup against Seton Catholic.
Seton, they're actually 2-6. They played a 0 week against Safford and won that game. But, you know, they embarrassed us last year during our homecoming. And, you know, we're hoping, I think it was 59-32, and so that's what we keep preaching to the kids. Hey, you know, let's not forget what they did to us last year, you know, during our homecoming, and they know this is an important game. You know, playoffs are, you know, we're not locked into the playoffs whatsoever. So, you know, this game is just as important as any other. And you know, and I've challenged them. Hey, how are we going to respond? How are you guys going to respond after a loss? You know, and you know, so I can tell you, you know, our practices, you know, this week have been pretty good, and I don't think that the kids, we're going to see a letdown because of record.
Thanks for joining us, Coach.
Absolutely, thank you.